When people talk about the greatest inventors ever, a few names always show up. Henry Ford, the Wright brothers, Thomas Edison. But there's another name that's weirdly less famous, even though it's connected to your daily life. If you charge your phone, switch on a light, or run a refrigerator, you're using a world shaped by Nikola Tesla. This is the story of a genius who got forgotten, and the story starts at the end. On January 7th, 1943, a maid working at the New Yorker hotel walked into room 3327. Inside, she found the body of a man who had been living there for about a decade. He was 86 years old. Tesla died alone, and he died broke. For food, he mostly survived on warm milk and crackers, and during those last years, he became strangely obsessed with feeding the pigeons outside. It's honestly crazy. One of the greatest inventors of all time faded out and died penniless. And there is a reason that happened. It'll make more sense by the end of the story. This is an English shadowing exercise. To get value from it, you must practice, not just listen. Listen carefully. Pause when needed. Repeat each sentence out loud. The sentences in this story are kept simple and clear, so they're easier to follow and shadow as you listen. Don't stress about being perfect. Progress comes from repetition, not perfection. Tesla was born in the town of Smiljan, in what is now Croatia, on July 10th, 1856. According to the family story, he was born during a lightning storm. In the middle of it, the midwife supposedly said, "This child will be a child of darkness." And his mother answered back, "No, he will be a child of light." At the time, it sounded dramatic. Later, it felt weirdly accurate. When Tesla was 5, something happened that stayed with him forever. He saw his older brother fall from a horse, and later his brother died. Tesla carried that memory for the rest of his life. It haunted him. After that, Tesla started experiencing something unusual, visions, along with bright flashes of light. And it wasn't just imagination. It was strong enough that he sometimes couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. That didn't go away as he grew up. But here's the twist. Those visions became part of how his mind worked. They helped him build inventions inside his head, not like vague ideas, but detailed, almost like he could see the machine operating. Because of that, he often didn't even need drawings. Years later, in an article he wrote in 1919, Tesla basically said, when he designs a device in his mind, it works in real life, exactly as he pictured it. And for about 20 years, he claimed there wasn't a single exception. Same point, just not quoting word for word. Tesla gave a lot of credit to his mother. Her name was Duka Mandic, and she used to invent small household tools in her spare time. She also had an eidetic memory, meaning she could remember images with unusually high accuracy, and Tesla believed he got that ability from her. His father was a priest, and he wanted Tesla to become a priest too. But Tesla wanted engineering. Then, as a teenager, Tesla got cholera and almost died. During that sickness, his father promised him something. If you survive, I'll send you to engineering school. Tesla survived, and he went. He studied in Austria at the Technical College of Graz, and people there said he worked like a machine, from 3 in the morning until 11 at night, every day. Some professors genuinely worried he would work himself to death. His brain was different. He could do calculus in his head. He spoke 8 languages. Early on, he was doing great. but he never finished. He got addicted to gambling. Then he dropped out. And he cut ties with his family so they wouldn't find out what happened. Even his friends didn't know where he went. For a while, they literally thought he had drowned in a river. Tesla moved around Europe for a while and eventually ended up in Budapest, working as an electrician at a telephone company. One day, while walking through a park, something hit him like a sudden click. He had an idea for a new way to generate electricity using alternating current. This was the breakthrough that would change everything for him and for the world. I'll explain alternating current properly a little later, but for now, just know this. That moment in the park was the beginning of his biggest fight and his biggest legacy. In 1882, Tesla moved to Paris and began working for the French branch of Thomas Edison's electric company. At first, the work was basic installing indoor lighting systems, but it didn't take long for the managers to notice something different about him. Tesla wasn't just fixing problems. He was understanding systems at a deeper level. Soon, he was designing and rebuilding dynamos and electric motors. When serious issues appeared at other Edison locations across Europe, Tesla was sent to fix them. He became the guy they called when nothing else worked. 2 years later, in 1884, Tesla's manager offered him something bigger, a job at Edison Machine Works in New York City. Tesla accepted. He arrived in America with almost nothing, only 4 cents in his pocket, because his money had been stolen during the boat trip across the Atlantic. Still, he was optimistic. At first, Tesla admired Edison, and Edison admired Tesla too. Later, Edison would say something like, "I have had many hard-working assistants, but you take the cake." But that respect didn't last. Very quickly, the two men started clashing not because of personality, but because of ideas. They fundamentally disagreed on how electricity should work. Edison believed in direct current, or DC. In this system, electricity flows in only one direction. The problem is that DC systems struggle over long distances and can overload outlets easily. Tesla supported alternating current, or AC. With AC, the direction of the electric charge changes back and forth periodically. That switching makes it possible to send electricity over long distances and deliver steady power without overwhelming systems. That difference matters. AC can power homes, factories, and cities. DC works better for small, limited devices, things like flashlights. Today, AC powers most of the world for a reason. But Edison didn't want AC to succeed. Why? Because he owned the patents for DC. According to Tesla, someone at Edison's company offered him a bonus of $50,000 if he could improve certain DC machines. Tesla did exactly that. But when he asked for the money, the offer was suddenly treated as a joke. One version of the story has Edison saying something like, "You don't understand American humor." No matter how it played out, the result was the same. Tesla quit. In 1885, he decided to start his own electric company. That move backfired. His investors weren't truly interested in Tesla's vision. They took control of the company and all of his patents. Since Tesla had exchanged his patents for stock, and that stock was now worthless, he was left with nothing. Literally nothing. To survive, Tesla took a job digging ditches for $2 a day. For a man who could picture entire machines in his head, it was humiliating. But that wasn't the end. In 1887, Tesla invented something critical, an induction motor that ran on alternating current. This motor was incredibly efficient. It converted electrical energy into mechanical power better than anything else available at the time. Versions of this motor still power machines today, including electric vehicles that later took Tesla's name. He patented the motor and presented it the following year at the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. And that's when the right person noticed. George Westinghouse, a major figure in the electric industry, immediately saw the potential. Westinghouse was trying to build a complete alternating current system, something powerful enough to compete with Edison's DC empire. Tesla's motor was exactly what he needed. So Tesla licensed the patents to Westinghouse for $60,000. He also received stock and royalties. On top of that, Westinghouse hired Tesla as a consultant, paying him $2,000 a month, which would be worth more than $50,000 per month today. This is when the famous War of the Currents began. Edison didn't fight fair. He launched a campaign to scare the public about alternating current. He secretly funded the development of the electric chair, making sure it used AC, not because it was safer, but because it looked more dangerous. His company also publicly electrocuted animals to prove the same point. In 1903, they even electrocuted a circus elephant named Topsy and filmed it. The footage was titled "Electrocuting an Elephant." The goal was simple: make people fear AC. But fear didn't win. Westinghouse and Tesla underbid Edison's newly formed company, General Electric, to power the world's Columbian Exposition in Chicago in 1893. The fair celebrated 400 years since Christopher Columbus arrived in the Americas. More than 27 million people attended. It was the first fully electric World's Fair, and it ran on alternating current. At that moment, it became obvious which system would power the future. Soon after, Westinghouse and Tesla won again, this time securing the contract to build the world's first large-scale alternating current power plant at Niagara Falls. The hydroelectric station was a massive success. It powered Buffalo, New York, and proved that AC could deliver electricity over long distances reliably. That project also made Tesla an early pioneer of renewable energy. His statue still stands at Niagara Falls today. Even after winning major victories against Edison, Tesla's story did not turn into a smooth success. Winning the War of the Currents did not mean financial security, not for him. By the late 1890s, George Westinghouse's company was under serious pressure. The expansion of alternating current systems was expensive, and competition was brutal. At one point, Westinghouse Electric went around $10 million into debt, which was an enormous amount at the time. The company was at risk of collapsing. If that happened, Tesla would lose everything connected to alternating current, not just money, but the chance for his system to survive. So Westinghouse went to Tesla and asked for help. He explained that the royalties Tesla was earning on the AC motor were too heavy for the company to carry. If those payments continued, Westinghouse Electric might not survive at all. This moment mattered more than people realize. Tesla had a choice. He could insist on the contract and protect his future wealth, or he could save the system he believed would benefit humanity. Tesla chose the second option. He tore up the royalty contract. By doing that, he walked away from around $12 million in future royalties. Adjusted for today, that amount would be worth more than $300 million. If Tesla had kept those royalties and let time do its work, there's a good chance he would have become the wealthiest person on Earth, possibly the first billionaire in history. But money was not his priority. Loyalty mattered more. Tesla believed Westinghouse had trusted him when no one else did, and he refused to let his friend lose everything. That single decision saved Westinghouse Electric. Westinghouse did not ignore Tesla's sacrifice. In return, he paid Tesla $216,000 for the permanent rights to use his AC patents. In modern terms, that amount would be worth around $60 million. For the first time in his life, Tesla was financially independent. And with that freedom, he went back to doing what he cared about most: inventing. Tesla opened a series of laboratories in New York City and entered the most productive period of his life. He became famous. Writers, investors, scientists, and celebrities visited him regularly. Among them was his close friend, Mark Twain, who admired Tesla deeply and often spent time in his lab. During this period, Tesla registered more than 300 patents across his lifetime. Some of his work during these years included early versions of neon lighting, new types of electric motors, and the Tesla turbine, a bladeless turbine designed for vehicles. He also experimented with radiation, helping push early X-ray technology forward. One of the most famous images from this time is an X-ray of Tesla's own hand. Another invention from this era shocked the public. In 1898, at Madison Square Garden in New York, Tesla demonstrated a remote-controlled boat. Using radio signals, he controlled the boat's movements from a distance. People in the audience could not understand what they were seeing. Many believed it was magic or some kind of trick. In reality, Tesla had just shown the world one of the first examples of wireless remote control, the ancestor of modern drones. One of Tesla's most well-known creations also came from this period, the Tesla coil. The device could generate extremely high-voltage electricity. While experimenting with it, Tesla discovered something important. Radio signals could be transmitted and received when tuned to the same frequency. Tesla understood that this principle could be used to send information wirelessly across great distances. He was preparing to broadcast his first radio signal. Then disaster struck. In 1895, a fire broke out and destroyed Tesla's New York laboratory. Years of research vanished overnight. Equipment, notes, and prototypes were all lost. The fire was devastating, and it changed everything. While Tesla was recovering from the loss, another inventor was working on similar ideas overseas. An Italian entrepreneur named Guglielmo Marconi was developing radio technology in England. Marconi attempted to secure radio patents in the United States, but at first his application was rejected. The designs were considered too similar to Tesla's existing patents. But things shifted in 1901. That year, Marconi successfully sent the first transatlantic radio signal using 17 of Tesla's patents. Shortly after that, Thomas Edison threw his financial support behind Marconi. In 1904, something strange happened. The United States Patent Office reversed its earlier position and granted Marconi the patent for radio. No official explanation was ever given, but the financial power behind Marconi likely played a role. Marconi went on to win the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1911, an achievement that depended heavily on Tesla's earlier work. Tesla was furious. He sued Marconi, and the legal battle dragged on for years. The case would not be resolved in Tesla's favor until after his death. That radio dispute damaged Tesla's career more than people realize. Tesla was obsessed with wireless communication. He believed the world could send information instantly, without cables. To make that vision real, he built a massive wireless transmission station on Long Island called Wardenclyffe Tower. His goal was to transmit messages and eventually power through the air. Once again, he was far ahead of his time. But investors lost confidence. They backed Marconi instead. Funding stopped. In 1905, Tesla was forced to abandon Wardenclyffe Tower. Eventually, the project was taken through foreclosure. After the failure of Wardenclyffe Tower, Tesla's life entered a slow decline. The ideas were still there. His mind never stopped working, but the support system around him collapsed. Investors no longer trusted him. Many thought his ideas were too far ahead, too expensive, or simply unrealistic. Others believed radio had already been solved by Marconi, so there was no reason to fund Tesla's vision. Without money, Tesla lost control of Wardenclyffe Tower. The property was taken through foreclosure, and his dream of a global wireless system ended there. That moment marked the turning point. From that point forward, Tesla became increasingly isolated. He continued working on ideas, filing patents, and giving interviews, but none of his later projects received the backing they needed. Some of his concepts were misunderstood. Others were dismissed as impossible. Meanwhile, the world moved on. Industries adopted electricity. Companies grew rich. New inventors built businesses on foundations Tesla had helped create. But Tesla himself was left behind. By the early 1930s, Tesla had settled into a permanent room at the New Yorker Hotel. Beginning in 1933, he lived there quietly, avoiding publicity. The Westinghouse Corporation, the same company he had once saved, hired him as a consultant and paid for his room. Because of that, he lived rent-free. Still, he struggled financially. He was known to eat simple meals, often warm milk and crackers. And over time, he developed a deep attachment to the pigeons outside the hotel, even caring for injured ones. These habits confused people. Some saw them as signs of decline. Others saw them as the quiet routines of a man who had already given everything he had to the world. On January 7th, 1943, Tesla died alone in his hotel room. He was 86 years old. No fortune, no major recognition, no public celebration. Just a locked door and a body discovered by a maid doing her job. So how did this happen? How does someone who shaped the modern world end his life in obscurity? The answer is not bad luck alone. Yes, Tesla experienced a misfortune. The fire that destroyed his lab, the loss of radio patents, the collapse of Wardenclyffe Tower. But the deeper reason is simpler. Tesla was not a businessman. He was not a capitalist. He made choices that people with strong business instincts would never make. He gave up massive royalties. He trusted investors too easily. He focused on ideas instead of profits. Money never motivated him. Science did. Progress did. Helping humanity mattered more than personal wealth. That mindset cost him everything financially, but it also explains why his work still matters today. The systems that power cities, the motors that drive machines, the principles behind wireless communication. All of it traces back to Nikola Tesla. In recent years, interest in Tesla has returned. Part of that renewed attention comes from a company named after him, Tesla, led by Elon Musk. The name alone pushed millions of people to ask a simple question: who was Tesla? And once people start looking, they realize something important. Modern society runs on ideas imagined by a man who cared more about the future than his own comfort. Tesla's mother once said he would be a child of light. She was right. The world he helped create is still glowing.